What's up, guys? Shuckle King here for my team analysis for March Madness tournament hosted by Jolt. My team is the Philadelphia Absols, and I am an honorary all-star coach for this league. Very quick introduction about who I am. I started playing competitive mons and DPP on Pokemon Online. I was among the first users of Pokemon Showdown during the Black and White meta. I probably rose the biggest you could call fame in the Smogon community in Black and White 2. I was probably among the top NU players in that time with FLCL, Zebriken, Soulgazer, Tachikaria, and me. I would say were among the best players in that. I was also an NUPL coach in the beginning of X and Y. I kind of lost Smogon interest by towards the end of ORAS, maybe the middle of ORAS, and I really got into draft leagues. And from there, I helped Magnitude build while he was still playing. I still helped 6-foot Hacks out, and I helped a couple other coaches build for teams as well. I'm currently in LD Minor, shout out to TNI, MLBA, run by a Hat, and IPL. So I'm an honorary coach by getting tied for the highest amount of points in the qualifying tournaments that Jolt ran. I went 11-2 in the 3 tournaments I signed up for. Now the other 4 coaches, I believe, that were all-stars by this method as well, all had 4 tournaments to get the same amount of points as I did. So I did pretty well. I placed 2nd place in a tournament, 1st place in a tournament, and I think it was top 8 in a lower tiers tournament. So by the way, here's my 2nd place team with Weavile, Mew, Snorlax, Empoleon, Zygarde 50%, Gengar, and this was my finals team, which I lost, and I also had Mega Camel and Leafeon. And my team that I placed 1st place in, I had a Melodic, Blacephalon, Tapu Koko, Halucha, Mega Tyranitar, Uxie, and Sceptile. I also had Flygon on the team, but I didn't use that. So that's a little bit of an introduction about me there. So my draft plan going into this, go offensive, primarily because I think it said on the doc that all the games that they thought would be more stally, they would not be streamed, so I got to try to get on stream, obviously. Got to get a good speed tiers, get some very elite stuff like base 120 or faster. I usually aim for at least 3 mons that are based 100 or faster. And then I like to get set up with speed potential as well with them. So like Dragon Dance or Quiver Dance with at least 2 mons on my team. Momentum, if possible, is nice, but it's not something I really need for most drafts. Mix of good physical attackers and special attackers. Pivots are also nice. Get 2 rockers, 2 hazard removers. A grounded poisoned or a team that's just not too weak to toxic spikes and spikes, because that would be an annoying issue otherwise. Make sure I get a bulky water answer, because a lot of teams will draft bulky waters. A bulky psychic answer, so I don't lose to like a acid armor, calm mind, or Uniclus or such. And make sure I get Lando I, Lando T answers, because they can be very threatening under this format, because Lando I is a sheer force. So in my draft pool, I got the 10th pick out of 10, which is the wheel pick, which is usually something I don't prefer. However, there's a lot of good mons available that aren't usually available in drafts, like Landorus Eye, or even like Mega Kangaskhan is not always there. So there's a lot of good things available, so I am going to get something decent. We have 95 points to pick between 8 different mons. You can average that to about 12 points a Pokemon. So my first 2 picks, I wanted 2 win conditions. And also didn't want to pick my Mega just because I know something like Mega Diancie, Mega Gardevoir, Mega Gallade, Mega Metachamp, Mega Pinsir. I'm sure one of those 5 is going to not get drafted or is going to be available towards the end of the draft. And they're great mons. So ideally I want to save up and not pick those unless if Mega Lopunny is available, then I will pick up my Mega, because Mega Lopunny is definitely the best Mega in my opinion. So the first pick of the wheel, I went with Zygarde. Now, Zygarde 50% has very nice bulk for a sweeper, base 108 HP, very high defense, and a good enough special defense. It is quad weak to ice, but with that bulk, it can take usually most hidden power ices very nicely. And with its speed, if it's like a choice scarf electric in the hidden power ice, I am gonna live that attack. And you would need to be life orb or like choice specs to do a lot of damage with HP ice. But if I get a dragon dance up, then I'm gonna outspeed. It's also kind of broken with a choice band, just because of this move right here, 1,000 arrows, 1,000 waves. It's also nice to trap mons if I need to do that. Has great priority and extreme speed. It's a decent Z move user with a Z outrage if I don't want to be locked in case the opposing team is a fairy or a steel type to take it on. So Zygarde, I feel like, it's a very nice Pokemon. It went undrafted in some of the draft pools, which I feel like is very surprising just because Zygarde is a really big issue. And it's pretty easy to use Choice Band at 1,000 arrows. You're going to do pretty well in most matchups. It does kind of struggle against grass and fairy types, and hidden power ice users can revenge kill it if it gets chipped down pretty easily. I guess Zygarde can also go special alright with 81 special attack isn't the greatest, but it has decent special moves like Draco Meteor, Earth Power, and such there. So with my second pick, I actually did go with my Mega because, as I said before, the only Mega I would consider with this pick in the beginning of the draft would be Mega Lopunny, and that's what I got. Now, Mega Lopunny is very cool just because at base 135 speed, it's very elite. It outspeeds everything up to Salazzle with an adamant nature, let alone with a jelly nature. I'll be outspeeding a ton of stuff like Tornadus and Crobat. It also has basically unresisted stab with a return plus high jump kick. It has very strong priority and a fake out plus quick attack. It has very cool tech moves for being a normal type like Encore and Baton Pass. I can also boost my attack with a power up punch, which is very cool there. Similar to Zygarde somewhat, not as much as Zygarde, but it struggles against bulky psychics just because Mega Lopunny's bulk is not the greatest. Though it's definitely bulky enough to take most hits that aren't super effective against it, which is very nice. It also kind of struggles against bulky waters unless if I get, or grass types as well, unless if I get a power up punch boost up. Because I could run Ice Punch, but return does slightly more damage to grass types than Ice Punch. But I guess the freeze percentage chance is nice there as well. So ideally, now I said before, I usually don't care as much about drafting like U-Turn or Volt Switch, but it is actually nice with Mega Lopunny just because it's not the most bulky mon out there. I want to get it in as often as I can without taking any damage. So maybe drafting some of U-Turners or Volt Switch users will be very nice for Mega Lopunny to get better opportunities to sweep. I also need something that can handle bulky psychics and grass types better. So I'll be aiming for those for my next 2 picks. And the next Pokemon I have, that's 14 picks, or 14 points. So Zygarde was 16 points, Mega Lopunny was 17, so I used 33 out of 95. So about a third, a little bit more than a third of my points. So I'm definitely fine with that because I won't be spending that many points for the rest of the draft. So the next Pokemon I got is Superior. Superior is nice again. A lot of speed on this team. It sits pretty nice in between a Mega Lopunny's and a Zygarde speed. Also a great answer for bulky water types just because I can essentially set up for free with not for free, but I can set up with Contrary Leaf Storms. So instead of lowering my special attack by 2, I'm actually going to be raising my special attack by 2, which is very nice. It's also 1,000 arrows switch in for Landorus, which is nice. It had to be like a rock polish, a Z-Fly set to handle Superior. So Landorus can still be a problem, but for now it's okay. It's forced in that type of Z move at least. Can be bulky as well with Synthesis. I don't have to run a max special attack, though it's really not that strong with only base 75 special attack. I would prefer to have a lot of investment in that. So I might not be running a bulky too often, but Synthesis is a nice move on it as well as Leech Seed. It gets not a whole lot of coverage moves. Mainly it's Dragon Pulse and whatever hidden power you want to run. Probably hidden power ice or fire usually. But another cool move that it has is Defog. So it's a very fast defogger. And also gets an invasion boost with if somebody defogs on itself, just because in contrary, so instead of lowering my evasiveness, I'll be raising my evasiveness, and that's nice. You can run a like bright powder plus contrary and get a lot of hacks going on, so I'm definitely cool with that. So not a whole lot else to say for superior handles my my bulky water types that Zygarde and Mega Lopunny preferably don't want to answer to, because Mega Lopunny can get burned, and water types can run Ice Beam to handle Zygarde better. The next Pokemon I have, which I feel like is pretty underrated, but it's so strong in a 8 Pokemon format just because there's really not too many answers for it. Not too many answers for it in a 11 mon or 10 mon or whatever typical draft styles there are, let alone a 8 mon, and that is Victini. Victini handles those the bulky grass types that I don't want Zygarde or Mega Lopunny to handle as much. And it's also very nice at a base 100 speed, that even if against bulky waters, I am able to run either a Bolt Strike if I think it's going to be a more especially defensive mon, or Thunder if it's going to be more of a physically defensive water type. So that's nice there. And I'm also bulky enough to take most water moves, unless if it, like a Manaphy sets up a +3 there, that would be a problem, but a Superior can handle that fine. It has great both attacking and special attacking versatility there, so it's going to be hard for my opponent to know if I'm going to be a physical attacker or a special attacker or even mixed. Also, with V-Create, there's not a whole lot of switch-ins for that, and if there are switch-ins for that, which I think are pretty much non-existent, it'll break those physical walls, so that way Zygarde or Mega Lopunny can come in and sweep later on. Victini is really nice because all of its coverage moves are very nice and high base power, and Victory Star is nice that I'm not going to be missing as much, though I probably will. I can also be Trick Room with a V-Create, so when I lower my speed, I'll actually be faster under Trick Room, which is nice, and with that said, I can run more bulk on it, because Victini is fairly bulky with base 100 on the board. Victini is also an Ice Resist and a Psychic Resist, which is nice for a Mega Lopunny and Zygarde to take those hits. So after the first 4 picks, that was also 16 points. So I spent 30 for Superior and Victini, and 33. So I spent 63. So I have about 30 points left between the last 4 mons I'm picking. So not a whole lot of points left. I spent a lot for my first 4 picks, and I'm pretty happy with them. But the problems are that I don't have any Stealth Rockers right now. So I kind of need to get at least 1. I'd like 2 Stealth Rockers on the team, so that way I'm not forced into that role by 1 mon all the time. A second Defogger is also nice, just because Superior doesn't really want to run Defog if it doesn't have to. Getting another bulky Grass or Psychic counter or check is also nice, so that way Victini doesn't have to be forced in that role all the time, though it handles it pretty fine. And just more answers for Zygarde's checks are very cool. And I also want a better Landorus answer. Zygarde plus Superior do pretty well against them, but I would like another better answer for that. And if a team brings Toxic Spikes against me, it's going to be problematic, because all 4 of the mons that I have so far are grounded, so Spikes and Toxic Spikes are a problem. The next Pokemon I picked for only 8 points and fulfills a lot of needs for my team is Drapion. Drapion absorbs Toxic Spikes, it can set Toxic Spikes, it's also a Pursuit Trapper, so that way I can trap stuff, so that way Mega Lopunny can sweep later on. Knockoff user is very cool to have. It's a bulky Grass and Psychic counter, just because Grass type's going to have a hard time handling Poison Jabs, coming off not the highest attack at base 90, but it's definitely strong enough. Also, it's a very nice physically defensive mon. Special defense is not the greatest. It can be an Assault Vest user pretty fine. I also cannot be critted if I run Battle Armor, which is very cool for a type of like pivot. I wouldn't call it a wall, but it's definitely a pivot mon. Can also be a dual dance sweeper with agility and sword stance and whatever coverage move I have, and it has decent coverage options, surprisingly, like Aqua Tail. I have Earthquake, Fire Fang if I face like a Scizor or Ferrothorn, Ice Fang for Landorus. I suppose I would add speed and probably do a ton of damage, not kill it, but do a lot of damage to it, so that's nice there. It's also a taunt user, and very fast at base 95 speed, So I can lead with this early, maybe prevent stealth rocks and get Tychic spikes up in the game early on, which would be very cool. Because Zygarde benefits getting those hazards up because it can run a special defensive spread with Toxic Spikes can stall out grass types in that regard. This mod does make me a little more Earthquake weak though, which is definitely something I am going to fix with my next pick. My next pick is Uxie at 9 points. So this is my first Stealth Rock mod, but I knew I wanted it from the beginning. I had it on the qualifiers that I came first place in with Uxie, so I knew I wanted it. It also handles Landorus, T, Fine, and Landorus I. It also has decent coverage moves. Base 75 special attack is not the strongest, but you can invest max special attack in it and still be a very nice defensive wall with base 130 defense and special defense and good enough HP. It also has surprising speed at base 95 for a wall, which is very cool. Though at times I can imagine myself running like 0 speed and a negative speed nature just to get a slower U-turn into to get Mega Lopunny free switches. And I have U-turn momentum, which is nice. I have Heal Bell, so a Cleric roll, which is cool there. I can use Memento as another form of momentum there for Zygarde or Superior, Victini, Lopunny, maybe Monzo pick later on to sweep. It could also be a Trick Room setter for Victini if I want to go that route. It can also be a sweeper in and of itself with a Calm Mind and a very nice bulk. It could run like a fast substitute spread or just like a rest, Calm Mind, Sleep Talk, Mono Psychic move, or maybe 2 coverage without Sleep Talk. So Uxie, I have a lot of cool ideas with Uxie that I'll hopefully use throughout the tournament here. And I'm also wouldn't be surprised if I use Stealth Rocks Uxie and bring that every game, because it's going to do that role very, very nicely. So I do like the team that I have after the 6 Pokemon I have. I have 15 points left. So the problems I have, the team is really fast, which usually isn't a bad thing. But my slowest mon is Uxie at base 95 speed. So like, say like a Togekiss at base 80 speed. I can just, knowing that it's not going to outspeed anything, if I like put max speed into Uxie, Togekiss is not going to outspeed it without a Choice Scarf. So I can just run max bulk, max defense, or something like that. It doesn't have to worry about speed creeping. So I want to make sure I get more speed diversity and get a couple slower mons for my last 2 picks, or 1 pick, if I choose to go that route. I would like a second rocker, so that way Uxie doesn't have to do it if I want it to go in a more offensive setup sweeper role. Getting a second hazard removal that's more reliable than Superior would be very nice. Though Toxic Spikes are not as big of an issue just because of Drapion there. And I'm not terribly weak to rocks right now. Just only Victini is, and Zygarde, Lopunny, they all resist it, which is nice. A Dragon Resist is very cool because Zygarde is there. So getting a Dragon Resist to force mines and then not running Outrage is cool. And maybe a Bug Resist. Superior and Uxie are weak to Bug, Victini and Drapion neutral to it. So maybe a Bug Resist would be cool. So I had a few options to go about with my last 2 picks. The first one being Togekiss plus Crustle is a good combo just because Togekiss is a fairy with Defog, and Crustle can set up Stealth Rock spikes and can also Shell Smash, which is a cool way there to run it. Scizor, Clefairy is another combo. Scizor would be the primary mon using there. It's just very strong and a reliable defogger. And Clefairy is a fairy, obviously, that can take on dragon types and also sets up rocks there. Could also go Fortress plus Lanoon. Fortress gets all the hazards and momentum, which would be very cool, and Lanoon is just such a scary mon. Even though I do have Zygarde and Lopunny, which kind of run similarly to Lanoon. It's just another scary physical sweeper that people have to prepare for. And forced to different types of builds. And Alolan Ninetales and Barbaracle. Now this is a little bit different than what I wanted, just because Barbaracle can set up rocks, sure, but it'd make my team a lot more offensive because I'd be running Veils, and I wouldn't have a secondary hazard removal. Alolan Ninetales is a nice Dragon Resist, though, and I wouldn't have as much speed diversity on my team, just because Barbaracle is going to want to use Shell Smash, so it's not going to be as slow as I would like it to be in that way. So shout outs to, I talked to a couple people like Jolt 6-Foot Hacks, John W., and Burn for making my last decision for my 2 mons. So I did decide to go with Clefairy here. So Clefairy for only 2 points is bulkier than Clefable. So I go with Clefable with all the points. I could just go for a Clefairy that's bulkier at a lot less points. It is knockoff week, and obviously really can't run many offensive moves besides Seismic Toss. But it is a Stealth Rock user, has reliable recovery and soft boil, which is very nice. It can also run Healing Wish, similarly to Yuxi running Memento if I want a free switch in or heal something up to full. It's a status absorber because it runs. Might run Q Charm, but I'm probably going to run Magic Guard. Just not get Unaware, however. But I could still run like a Calm Mind, Cosmic Power, Stored Powered set. With Magic Guard is very nice there. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't use this, but I feel like Clefairy can be a big threat if your opponent is not prepared for it. So we'll see this season. And Yuxi is pretty reliable enough as a Stealth Rock user that I can bring that every game and be okay. So we'll see if Clefairy's around, but the main reason I drafted these two is to pick up Scizor for my last points at 13. Has a cool speed tier at base 65 just because if I run a max speed on Scizor with a positive nature, I do outspeed a Yuxi with no speed investment, which is currently the slowest mon on my team. So I cover like all the speed in between that range there, which is nice. Strong priority, obviously, with a Technician Bullet Punch, and I guess a Quick Attack if I really want to go on that route there. It's a Pursuit user, so I can trap bulky Psychic types in conjunction with Drapion there. I can be a Sword Stance Sweeper, which is very cool there. It can be a bulky Pivot with U-Turn. So a slow U-turner to get Zygarde and especially make a Lopunny in for free. It's also forces like the Hidden Power Ice or Hidden Power Fire to bait. For my opponent, they have to decide if they want to have a better way to hit, like if it's like a Thunderous Eye, doesn't want to run Hidden Power Ice to hit my my Zygarde, but is not going to be able to kill Scizor with Thunderbolt. For one Hidden Power Fire to kill a Scizor, but then it's pretty much walled by Zygarde. I feel like I probably will know the answer for the most part. What I think they're going to go with, like Grass types and Water types, probably will run Hidden Power Fire to deal with Scizor over running like a Hidden Power Ice to deal with Zygarde. Especially because for some waters they can run Ice Beam anyway. But Scizor is also a Dragon and a Fairy resist. I could also weaken those types and also Psychics for Lopunny or Zygarde to sweep later on in the match. There's not a whole lot of move diversity with Scizor. Get Bullet Punch, Bug Bite, U-Turn, Sword Stance, Knockoff, Defog. Oh, it's another very reliable Defog user. That was also a main reason why I drafted this. A slow U-Turner, Defogger, and a Dragon Resist. But what's cool with Scizor is that you have a lot of diversity with the items it can use. It can run Choice Band, Choice Scarf, Leftovers, can run Assault Vest, I suppose, Akaberry. So there's a lot of options with Scizor. I really have never used it before, but I'm pretty excited to use it. So this is my draft. In terms of like snipes, I was really only like quote unquote sniped by Thunderous Eye not being available in round 3 or 4 for my pick. But I was not really a snipe because it should have been drafted by my turn at round 3. But I probably would have picked Victini plus Thunderous Eye for my next 2 picks instead of Superior. I maybe picked Superior later on or gotten a different, less expensive grass type in that regard. Or a different reliable Defogger. Maybe even gotten Scizor earlier on. I would have considered Alolan Ninetales a lot more if Archeops was still available, but that was picked in the end of round 6. I would have liked a combination of Archeops plus Ninetales. Again, not a whole lot of speed diversity, but Archeops is a very cool Pokemon for only 5 points there. Also, ones that I considered, Zapdos is very cool, but I wanted more offensive pressure. And Tapu Fini was also available in round 7 for 15 points. I could have picked, instead of Scizor for 13 plus Clefairy 2, I could have gotten Tapu Fini. But I do like what Scizor provides for this team. the Tapu Fini would have been a very cool pick as well. For my Z move user, I decided to go with Zygarde. Honestly, I feel like it's not like the best Z move user, but it's nice in regards to Outrage. I can run a very strong Dragon moves with not too much consequence. Like if I run Outrage, I kill something, and then a Fairy type or a Steel type can come in and either set up on me or kill me with because I'm forced to stand with Outrage. So Dracodium Outrage is cool. Can also run a Iron Tail for Fairy types, and we got a Sludge Wave as a special attacking move, so maybe hit Grass types or Fairy types in that regards as well. Yeah, so another thing I saw, there's a coach, Rufus, I'm not sure who he is, but he's an all-star as well, and he picked a very similar team as mine. I wanted to just talk about that. We both picked Mega Lopunny, Zygarde, and Superior. His fire type, he picked Blacephalon instead of Victini. Now, if I didn't get Victini, I probably would have picked Blacephalon instead, because I was still available in round 3. And instead of me getting a Drapion, Uxie, Clefairy, he picked Garbodor, Umbreon, and Steelix. So that's also a poison type there. He has a dark type. He has a Heal Bell user in Umbreon, Dragon Resistant Steelix, and a Rocker in Steelix. So it's a lot more, I would say, reliable, bulky, but I feel like Drapion, Uxie especially have more offensive potential in those picks. Also, with a Uxie, it provides momentum a lot more than those three. I guess Umbreon could be a Baton Pass user, but you're going to lose out on a coverage move that it probably needs, Wish Protect, Heal Bell, Foul Play, or Toxic. So I like that my picks are a little bit more offensive in that regard. And for our last pick, I picked Scizor, and he picked Tapu Fini for his Defogger. And I did consider Tapu Fini with my last pick instead of Clefairy Scizor, but I do like what Scizor provided. And it's also another U-turn user. He might have a little bit of a hard time getting Mega Lopunny in with the team that he has, but he has a very scary team too, and I suspect that he'll do well, because I think I'm going to do pretty well in this tournament. So thanks for watching this all the way through. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for future content on the channel here. I'll be posting all my All-Star games, which is next Saturday I'll be playing. So wish me luck. And until next time, later guys.